So we're at the Muddy Boots restaurant, telling our waitress
how much trouble we're having with the owner of VBR.
And she says, "Oh, it's not you."
Oh, it's not you. Everybody knows about Crazy Gary. He's that. Whatever.
I don't know.
And, the auto mechanic said the same thing in our other clip. As soon as I told him we'd finished the project for Gary Bartels, he looks me straight in the eye and he says, "Did you get paid?" Well, we almost did.
Almost in full.
Almost in full. He owes us about $1,000. No big deal in the long run. We might put a claim in with the state of Indiana and try and collect that. At the end of the day, though, we took somebody else's concoction of a layout, and our helping hand product makes it runnable. We got essentially we got a 12-zip course with a dozen tree platforms and ground platforms installed for a total cost well under the $150,000 budget. We could have been done, I firmly believe, in a month and a half with essentially a crew of 2.5. Part of the difficulty, I started talking to Gary with email back in, I think, November, and I could see over the winter as we sporadically communicated, I could see that he was contacting every company in the book, and it turned out ultimately that nobody would build for him. So when we're getting ready to go out here, I'm talking to Heidi about this and thinking, okay, nobody else can work for this guy. Why do we think we should work for this guy?
Well, we're up for the challenge.
We are up for the challenge. I won't refuse anybody, And it's going to turn out fine. It's going to be a really cool course. It'll be runnable. It'll be safe. It'll be all that. But, no credit should really go to Gary. Gary's going to say that he built it all himself. Gary brags about himself a lot. He makes lots of false claims. Gary is extremely unreliable. He loves to tell about, in an amiable fashion. He's a likable guy. You're going to believe him. You're going to want to. It'll be phony, but he's a likable guy and you'll believe him. And he'll tell you stories about, I'm not going to pay Dave unless I think it was worth it. What do you think? Is the layout any good? Are the elevations any good? I don't know. It doesn't matter. When you've got the helping hand braking system, elevations don't matter anymore. So I don't know if that layout was runnable, really. I doubt it. Gary wanted to be able to say that he was the project manager, maybe, or whatever. He wanted to run the show. So in spite of having no experience building canopy tours, he liked to listen to my proposals and then change things in a big way. Pretty much every time that he would decide some other way of doing it would be better, it would lead to a delay of several days and, in some cases, several weeks. It got extremely frustrating. Things in a canopy tour installation can proceed in a sequence of events, but not when you have a Gary. So we find ourselves.
He's got to do it his way.
He's got to do it some different way. It's just got to be different from the way. Got to be
Gary's way or no way.
And so we try to keep busy. We run from tree to tree, adding a trinket. It would make more sense to go, as to go to a tree, do a whole bunch of work, and then move to the next one, do a whole bunch of work there. Well,
we weren't able to do it that way. We weren't able to. We did the best we could.
Constantly jacked around that
we could.
And it's pretty good,
Yeah, it's a beautiful spot. It's a nice canopy tour, and people are going to enjoy it.
To build a course that big, that cheap, so fast, with a crew of 3, is pretty good. I really look forward to doing the next one. I had a gas. I love building these things. Really had fun every day, but the Gary factor was incredibly frustrating. And at the point where he took away our housing, it got crazier and crazier as the project
accusing us
went
of
on.
taking radios, accusing us of breaking things on purpose, and just
it got crazier and more abusive. And so we were within a few days of finishing the whole project, and had to quit.
And the guys that are going to be actually running the place are there making the final touches. And
who knows what they're doing?
I
'Cause
hope they
with
can.
Gary, all
he's going to
bets
tell them
are
how
off.
to do it too. So who knows if hopefully
Honest to God,
they'll get it
he
finished
can't.
and be able to have their.
He seems to have a problem with finishing things.
That's
He
good, yeah.
could not finish his task.
Unless he started a new project. He said that to me probably more than once. He likes to have lots of projects going on, and he can't finish one until he's starting a new one. So
Could not finish his
you know,
task.
it's almost like he was preventing us from finishing.
And he
this
might
one.
never finish his Canopy tour. You don't know with Gary.
I hope he does for the guys, the people that are working for him. I hope for their sake that.
I
it's
discouraged
gonna
him
be
as best I could from taking on tasks because he came right out and said, "Oh, they call me Crazy Gary. I can't finish anything." True, he couldn't. Days and weeks of delay. But he would insist on being involved, and it would slow things down and get steps out of sequence. And
But we did the best we could.
yeah, to build a course that big, that cheap, that fast was really a pleasure to me, and I'm sure that we can do a lot better next time if we can avoid the interference of inexperienced crewmen or whatever you want to call that. We got to be able to fire people who are unproductive. Gary is very personable and very disruptive, and we had another guy. I've met a bunch of guys. Walker, for instance. I've met a number of people in the industry who are very personable and astonishingly unproductive on the job. Brad, many examples.
That's the way it goes.
There are a few, maybe 25 or 30% of the people I've worked with over the years have been good to keep. If anybody ever asks you about Chase Buffington, well, let me recommend Chase Buffington. He's going to be the manager of the Canopy Tour at VBR. I'd gladly work with him again. End of draft 1.